Hit it, Phil.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Can it be the breeze that fills the trees with rare and magic perfume? Oh, no, it isn't the breeze, it's Jackson time. La-da-da-da.
Stay tuned.
Right after this episode.
For our discussion.
From Hollywood, the Jack Benny Program.
Rochester.
Yes, sir.
I think I could stand a little hotter. Turn up the steam, will you?
Yes, sir.
We're not too hot now. Be careful. Gee, I'm glad I bought this cabinet. How long have I been in here?
About 10 minutes. I hope you're not taking too much.
What do the instructions say?
Let's see. Men up to 20 years old, stay in cabinet not more than a half hour.
Half hour.
Men up to 25 years, no more than 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Men up to 30 years of age, no more than 15 minutes.
15.
Men up to,
What are you on about?
According to this chart, I should have just dipped you in like a tea bag.
Oh, stop. Gee, I think I've had enough. I better get out.
Well, I'd better not open it for a couple of minutes.
Why? Haven't I had enough?
Yeah, but the potatoes aren't done yet.
Oh, darn it.
Don't blame me. It was your own idea. As long as we had this heat, you didn't want to waste it.
Well...
What a job I had trying to talk you out of holding that leg of lamb in your lap.
I'm just trying to economize. Oh, by the way, Rochester, I meant to ask something. Do you know where my binoculars are?
Your binoculars?
Yes, later on I'm going to take Miss Livingstone to the races.
Uh-oh.
What's that?
The potatoes are done.
No. Well, take them out.
Yes. One for you. One for me.
Rochester, I think I've had enough. Bring me a towel, will you?
Yes, sir. I sure hate to see you get out of there, boss.
Why?
Well, I've been with you for 22 years, and this is the first time you look like you have shoulders.
Now, don't be funny. Oh, if that's Miss Livingstone, tell her I'll be down in a few minutes.
Yes, sir. Oh, hello, Miss Livingstone. Come on in. Mr. Benny will be down in a few minutes.
Thank you.
I sure hope you have a nice time at the races today.
I do, too. I don't know too much about the horses, but Mr. Benny says he has a tip.
Miss Livingstone, if you don't mind, I can tell you something about the horses that a very few people know.
Well, what's that?
Well, the race really begins in the paddock. If the horse is worried about something, that's a very important element. Because that's where the horse makes up his mind whether he has the incentive to go out there and win the race or whether he doesn't care. It's the horse's mental attitude before the race begins.
Rochester, how do you know so much about horses?
Miss Livingstone, when you work like one, you think like one.
I know what you mean. You do work awfully hard.
You know, Miss Livingstone, I'm thinking about asking Mr. Benny for a vacation. Because every once in a while, you've got to get away from it all.
You're absolutely right. You know, last season I got to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore. I told Mr. Benny that if I didn't get a change of scenery, I'd go out of my mind.
Change of scenery? Where'd he send you?
No place. He put a palm tree in my dressing room.
That's our boss. Better put these things away.
Oh, Jack.
Coming. Hello, Mary.
Hi.
Sorry I kept you waiting. What'd you do, walk over?
No, I took a cab.
A cab? For only 5 blocks? Gee, if I were going to your house, I wouldn't call for a cab.
You wouldn't call for help if it had a meter on it.
Neater on it, neater on it. Mary, you keep that up, and on your next vacation, you're not getting a palm tree. And another thing.
Jack, are we going to the races or not?
Well, of course we're going. And Mary, you know that tip I told you about? Well, it's in the 6th race, Speedy Girl.
Speedy Girl?
Yep, and that's the horse I'm going to bet on.
Here are your binoculars, boss.
Thanks. Rochester, Miss Livingstone and I'll have a sandwich before we go to the track.
Yes.
Why don't we have lunch out there?
Okay. Never mind the sandwiches. Rochester, get my car out, will you please?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mary, I'll go and get my coat, and then we'll... Now, who can that be?
Well, that must be Dennis.
Dennis Day?
Yes, see, I ran into him yesterday, and he had nothing to do, so I asked him to go to the races with us.
You asked... Oh, Mary, you know that kid drives me nuts.
But, Jack, you haven't seen him in a long time, and he's very anxious to see you, too. Go answer the door.
Oh. Hello, Dennis.
Hello, Mr. Benny.
Come on in. Come on in, kid.
Thanks. How do you feel?
Fine, fine.
How's everything going?
Good. Good.
Oh, hi, Mary.
Hello, Dennis.
Gee, I'm sure glad you invited me to go to the races with you, because otherwise I wouldn't have had a chance to tell him.
Tell me what?
That I'm suing you for $50,000.
What?
Dennis, what's this all about? Why are you suing Mr. Benny?
Well, every time he talks to people about me, he says I'm stupid.
Well, Dennis, if you felt that way all these years, why are you suing me now?
Because I've had enough. From now on, I want to be addressed with dignity. My name is Dennis S. Day.
What does the S stand for?
If I told you, I'd lose my case.
I thought so.
Well, anyway, after I collect the $50,000 from you, I'm suing someone else who called me stupid.
Who's that?
My lawyer.
We had to ask him yet. Mary, you invited Dennis S. Day to go to the track with us, so you stay here and talk to him. I'm going upstairs and get my coat.
Okay.
Say, Mary, while we're waiting for the defendant to come back, would you like to hear a song I just recorded?
Oh, I'd love to. What are you going to sing, Dennis?
It's If I Loved You. If I loved you time and again, I would try to say all I'd want you to know. If I loved you, words wouldn't come in an easy way. Round in circles I'd go, longing to tell you, but afraid and shy. I'd let my golden chances pass me by. Soon you'd leave me, off you would go in the mist of day. Never, never to know I love you. If I loved you.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Thank you, Mary.
Well, I'm all set, kids.
I was ready an hour ago.
Well, say, Mr. Benny, since we're going to the races, would you lend me $1,000?
Lend you... Dennis, If I lent you $1,000, how would you pay it back?
Well, I'll let you deduct it from what you'll owe me after the trial.
Come on, let's go. All right, who won?
My uncle.
Your uncle is a jockey?
No, the horse.
Mary, why did you... Dennis, will you stop making up those silly things? Now sit down and be quiet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fifth race was a photo finish. We will have the results in a moment. It is between Gallant Lad and Joseph Day.
How do you like that? Even a coincidence has to be on his side. Dennis, now just sit there and be quiet and let me enjoy myself.
Enjoy yourself. You've been here for 5 races and haven't bet on a horse yet.
I told you I'm waiting till the 6th. Speedy girl can't lose.
Well, we have about a half hour. Why don't we go to lunch?
Okay, come on. Come on, Mary, I'll buy you lunch.
Dennis, like to have lunch with us?
Oh, no, thanks, Mary. I'm too excited to eat.
Good, good.
Hey, Bun. Bun. Long time no see.
Yeah. Get away from here, Mary. Finally met that tout at the racetrack. Why don't we get any service around here? Where are the waiters, anyway?
Jack, we just got here.
Oh, we just... That's the trouble with you, Mary. You let everybody push you around. Well, I'm not going to. A waiter! Waiter!
I'm coming. Don't rush me. Don't be so impatient. You're not the only one here, you know. The lady is waiting, too.
Well, she's with me.
No.
Now, don't be funny. And we'd like a table by the window.
At the moment, there isn't any. Number 1 will be ready when it's cleared off.
While we're waiting, you can take our order. What would you suggest?
Another waiter. You make me so nervous.
Look, I don't care whether I make you nervous or not. What can we get in a hurry?
Well, we have roast beef, leg of lamb, corned beef, and bacon and eggs.
Bacon and egg, that sounds good. Are the eggs fresh?
Of course they are.
Mary, would you like bacon and eggs?
Of course I would.
I don't know, I don't feel like eggs.
How about a hamburger?
Well, is the hamburger fresh?
Fresh? It was in the first race.
Cut that out! Just bring us the bacon and eggs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, the last race was a photo finish. But you won't know the results till tomorrow.
Gee, that's strange.
The picture turned out so good that we've decided to show it at your neighborhood theater.
Come on, Mary, our table is ready.
Hey, Bud. Bud.
Huh?
Come here a minute.
Who, me?
Yeah.
What is it? You
seat in here?
Yeah.
What table?
Table number 1.
Take table number 9.
But I'm very happy with number 1.
Think it over, Bud. Table number 1 is a card table.
So what?
If it carries too much weight, its legs will fold.
Gee, I never thought of that. Why should I take number 9?
Well, just think of the breathing.
The breathing?
It's by Bird's Eye Maple out of Grand Rapids.
Gee, I didn't even think they knew each other.
Well, get wise, Bud. Think it over.
Why don't you give me a tip on a horse?
Who knows anything about horses? So long, sucker.
I wish he'd leave me alone.
Here's your bacon and eggs, table number 1.
Table number 1? What do you think, I am a sucker? We're not going to eat here.
What difference does it make what table we're at?
It makes a lot of difference. Now put us at table 9.
Table 9? You mean the Bird's Eye Maple one?
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, you can't eat at that table.
Why not?
It was scratched.
Stop with those jokes. Put us at table 9.
Oh, all right. I'll change you. Well, are you coming?
Mary, let's go. We'll eat later.
Eat later, eat later. Eating with you is the best diet I know.
Never mind. Come on.
Gee, Mary, the 6th race will be starting soon.
I wonder where Jack is. Oh, Jack.
Yeah?
Did you get the information you wanted?
No, but I came here to bet on Speedy Girl, and that's what I'm going to do. And say, Dennis.
Yes?
You know, this is your first time at the track, so take a tip from me and put your money on Speedy Girl.
Speedy Girl? Oh, let's see. That's number 8.
That's right.
Oh, that's no good for me. I already bet on number 12.
Number 12, what's the name of the horse?
Well, who cares? It's the number that's important. That's my system.
Dennis, you've got a system?
Yeah, sure.
Well, Dennis, according to your system, why did you bet on number 12?
Well, you see, the horse is carrying 116 pounds, and this is the 6th race, so 116 and 6 is 122. Now, the race starts at 14 minutes after 4, and 14 and 4 is 18, and 18 added to 122 makes 140. Now, this is the 4th week of the month, so 4 divided into 140 is 35.
Uh-huh.
Then I took my age, which is 26, and subtracted from 35, which leaves me 9.
Uh-huh.
Then I added 3 to 9, and I bet on number 12.
Now, Dennis, I followed you till 9. Now, why did you add 3?
Well, how else can you get to 12?
Mary, did you hear?
I lost him at 35.
Come on, let's go to the $5 window. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, Mary, look. Isn't that my sponsor, Mr. Lewis, sitting over there?
Where?
Right over there.
Yes, it is.
Well, come on, let's go over and say hello to him.
Oh, Jack, look, he came to enjoy himself. Leave him alone.
But, Mary, he's my sponsor. If he thought I was here and didn't come over and say hello, he'd be heartbroken.
Oh, Jack,
Come on.
please.
Come on.
And now going out on the track are the horses for the 6th race. Riptide, Speedy Girl, Silverette, Flying Cloud, Wild Way, Pinky, Contraband, and Sirocco.
Hey, Mr. Lewis.
Oh, hello, Mary.
Hello, how are
Hello,
you,
Jack.
Sid?
Hello. Hi, Mr. Lewis. Well, who have you got in the next race?
Flying Cloud.
Mr. Lewis, forget all about Flying Cloud and bet on Speedy Girl. She'll win by 8 lengths.
Jack, my mind is made up. I'm going to play Flying Cloud.
But, Mr. Lewis...
Jack, let him bet any way he wants.
Oh, Mary, it's silly to come out track and bet on anything. I mean, look, Mr. Lewis, I've been following these horses all season, and I know what I'm talking about.
Jack, please.
Mary, Speedy Girl can't lose.
Jack, I'm sorry, but I'm betting Flying Cloud.
Okay. It's your dough. You know, don't say I didn't tell you.
The horses are nearing the starting gate.
Well, I'm going up the window, make my bet. $5 on the nose.
Say, Mary,
Yes, Mr. Lewis.
I've been thinking. If Jack bets $5 on a horse, he must know something.
Are you kidding? He read 4 books on American history before he bought a government bond.
Well, I'm going to change my bet. I'm putting $100 on Speedy Girl.
Oh, will you do me a favor and bet $2 for me?
I'd be glad to, Mary.
Thanks.
The horses are in the starting gate.
Gee, I'm glad I got there in time.
Now they're all in the gate, and there they go. Going up the first turn is Wild Way in front. Pinky is second. Silver is third. Flying Cloud is fourth, and Speedy Girl. Contraband. Flying Cloud.
Come on, Speedy Girl.
Echo and Speedy Girl. Breaking on top is Riptide. Coming around the far turn, it's still Wild Way in front. Pinky is second. Silverette is third. Speedy Girl is now fourth by half a length. And Sirocco. Driving down the home stretch, it's Silverette in front. Wild Way is second. Speedy Girl is third. And here comes Contraband and Flying Cloud. It's Silverette and Flying Cloud. Now Flying Cloud is pounding hard. And it's Flying Cloud the winner by half a length.
Mr. Lewis, we won. We won.
What do you mean, we won?
I bet on your horse, Flying Cloud.
You what? Jack, do you mean to tell me when you left here you didn't bet on Speedy Girl?
No, you talked me out of it. What are you so unhappy about?
Jack Benny, I bet on the horse you gave me.
You did? Gee, Mr. Lewis, how could you be so silly?
Dare you call me silly?
Well, it's my fault if you're a sore loser.
Mary!
Mr. Lewis, how could you do such a thing?
He didn't do it, I did.
Waiter.
Can't you see I'm busy? Oh, it's you again. Now what do you want?
Could I get a steak?
Medium or well done?
Raw, it's for my eyes.
I'll tell you.
Don't tell me how. Tell me who. I want to congratulate.
Well, hello again. This is Buck Benny speaking. I have my friend John Henderson with me here.
Hello.
He's your host and podcaster on This Day in Jack Benny. There it is. Very good show. A new season coming up here in a couple weeks. And for folks listening to this in the future, whatever it's 2024. It is now the end of September. Yeah, middle September 14th. So anyway, it's great to have you folks here. This is one that's an exciting one to do because it's one that you would hope they would redo from the radio show, and so they are redoing it. And this is a episode that's the racetrack episode. John, I can't remember. Do you think this is, of course, a filmed episode? Did they do a live racetrack episode? I can't remember if we ever did one before.
I can't remember. I know there's a number of radio episodes where they go to the track, and some of them are different. Like this one, in some ways, is different from some of the racetrack episodes I've heard.
Yeah, and so it's neat having a recreation of a racetrack episode. Chances are, I'm not promising this, people, but chances are, if I have enough time, I will throw on one of the radio racetrack episodes after this. So you just saw the episode, of course, the racetrack episode, and now we're going to talk about it. And then there'll be a radio racetrack episode after that, if I get that ready and going. Otherwise, you'll just see a preview of next week's show. But this is one of those that, I don't know about John. I think he's the same as me. I always get a little excited with the episodes that we've heard on radio a lot, and get a chance to see what they're going to do with it. And this one's no exception in it. And it really does do a lot that are from the racetrack episodes. Now, I think in the later racetrack episodes, some of them, the entire show is the racetrack episode, the entire radio show. In this case, there's going to be a scene or two at Jack's house and so forth. I kind of wish they would have spent the whole time at the racetrack, because there's so many bits they can do, and there's some bits we don't see that they did on radio that they could have done. But it's all right. And the fact that we get Mary on this, and Mary and Jack so good together, including this episode. We get to see Dennis. I would have loved it if they would have brought along Dawn, but we don't get Dawn in this episode. I don't think we ever see Dawn in this episode, if I remember right. It starts out with Roch and Jack, but it's one scene that they have together. It's, a fun scene. I remember them doing that in the radio show, and they've done it, I'm pretty sure, on one of the live shows. We've seen this scene before. It's with the steamer, the
cabinet,
thing that he's in. It's a fun little scene, and John and I have heard the jokes for that a million times. If it was your first time hearing it, the whole teabag one it's fun. I mean, it's a great little bit. And then the scene with Dennis and with Mary and Jack, and then Dennis shows up at the door too. I don't love Dennis's song, but it's there. It's okay. I wish it would have taken that time and used it for more time at the racetrack again. And we'll talk about some of the other things, but I'll throw it over to John. He loved it. I definitely loved it more than I did. I liked it, but let's go, John.
I did love it, and I definitely loved it more than you did. There's sometimes when it just depends on when the episode hits you. And I hadn't seen the steam cabinet bit in a long time, so I didn't remember really any of the jokes. It's fun to see Rochester. That's not the highlight of the show. I do think it's more fun when they go out and they go to the track and the bits at the restaurants. I loved seeing Dennis Day. It's always fun to see the old cast members, and it's rare to see them get together. It's rare to see an episode with Mary and Dennis, so that was fun. And I actually enjoyed the song from Dennis Day. The fact that he's doing something different. He's not just standing in the front and the orchestra comes behind him, but that he does the whole piano bit. So I thought that was fine. The racetrack tout, hey buddy, come here a minute.
Yeah,
it's one you've heard many times. His delivery makes it so that even though it's the same joke done in just variations, every time it's funny. Every time I laugh, and it's even better when you actually can see him.
And that was Sheldon Leonard, right?
Oh yeah, that's Sheldon Leonard.
I was gonna say, because I was trying to remember. I'm like, that Sheldon Leonard? But if it wasn't, it was, the guy did a great job of an impression of Sheldon Leonard. But yeah, it was Sheldon. So it's just nice seeing him do the bit, because sometimes they do the bit and they don't have him because they can't get him or whatever. I mean, he at this point, he's a big producer and everything, or very soon be a big producer of a lot of shows. The Andy Griffith
Big
Show,
Van Dyke
things
Show.
like that. Yeah. Yeah. So he's big time. But yeah,
Yeah.
I love seeing
But he would
him. Go ahead.
he would this sort of like persona of this sort of like gangster type of
Yeah.
kind of that world. There's something that he would continue to, even though he was a big producer, he would always come back and do bit parts as this sort of like character with a voice like that.
Yeah.
He's even in Guys and Dolls, and so
Yeah.
it's so fun to see him. And they did a little something extra. They added a little bit at the end, where so he's a tout, so he's supposed to like get people to bet, and then if they win they give him a little piece as a thank you, right? But it's always something different. Sometimes he's saying, don't take this elevator, take that elevator. In
Right.
this case, it's don't go to this table, you got to do that, look at the
Right.
breeding and
It's
stuff
never
like that.
horses. It's never what it should
Right.
be.
And
He's
so
tout
in
for
the end,
everything else but horses. And even on this one, he
exactly.
mentions that he doesn't know anything about horses. So,
Yeah, who knows about horses?
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice little addition to that. That was
Yeah.
great. And I actually, and I know you might not agree with me, I love Joe Besser, who's that sort of
Right.
roly-poly guy at the end who plays the waiter, and he's the over the top, the way that he's acting.
Yes.
I think that he's so funny every time I see him, and the way that he does his delivery makes me laugh. To me, I feel like he could have been one of the main big characters. It could have been Frank Nelson, Mel Blanc, and Joe Besser. And in some ways they try to do that a little bit, but he's not overdone.
Right.
Frank
Well,
Nelson.
and he's not on the radio show all that much. He's on the TV show, it seems like, more than the radio show. So
He is on the radio show a handful of times.
Oh, he is. But this particular bit, the part that he's playing here, I'm used to Mel playing that part, and or Frank and Mel. And so hearing Frank as the announcer, but not having him do this bit, it kind of undermines the bit for me, for an old time fan that's like, oh, I would have loved to see Mel, what Mel would have done with this. But Besser does a really nice job. I mean, I can't fault Besser, and he's funny.
I think they're all funny. I love Frank Nelson. I love Mel Blanc. Whenever they come on, I smile. But because I've seen so much Jack Benny, I've seen so much of them. So you sort of get to a point where like the novelty wears off, and it's more of like a comfort and familiarity with some of these characters. Whereas Joe Besser, he's never on enough for you to get to that point.
Correct.
It's always a novelty when he comes on. So I think it's a treat.
Well, the other person it would have been nice to have on this episode, but he might have already passed away when this happened, would be it would have been nice to run into Kitzel, because Kitzel would have fit in nicely with this episode.
And
he so often showed up at the racetracks. So
the first episode with him is at the racetrack, and that's where he did the hot dog man, right? Pickle in the middle and the mustard on top. Yeah. So you're right. That would have been good.
Yeah. So, but just great to see these characters together. I mean, certainly I can nitpick the little pieces of it that they could have done differently, but I just love these shows when you get more of the cast together. The one thing I noticed, I don't know if anybody else noticed, that I'll just point something out that I was pointing out to John earlier, is that the shots with Jack and at Jack's house between Jack and Mary were interestingly shot. When you go look at those, I mean, like, she's talking and it's showing the back of her head sometimes, and which is you'd hardly ever do on a show. You'd always flip it around to get the front of her, and she's got a camera in front of her, so I mean they do capture the front of her, and they do capture Jack so it goes back and forth, the front of her to the front of Jack, and then whenever you get the front of one of them, you get the back of the head of the other one, right? And so at some points it's like you would film. I was mentioning to John that it's like how you would film somebody if they were playing two parts, like they're playing themselves like as a twin or something,
like the Patty
and they're
Duke
showing
show.
The back of the head of a different actress. It's So I don't even, who knows? Maybe they weren't together that day, and maybe they filmed it like they were, but they used the back head of some other woman to do those angles with Jack. I don't know why it worked out that way, or why they shot it that way. But you almost never, I don't think they ever show a two shot with the two of them together. I mean, they do at different parts of that scene, but the big dialogue piece, they don't. It's like they don't. And maybe they didn't shoot an establishing two shot like they usually do. They usually film it like with the two shot where they go through the whole scene, the two of them talking to each other. Then they go through the scene that's facing one, then they go through the scene that's facing the other, and then they take and they edit that all together so that it looks smooth, and yet you get the idea that they're together. In this case, it looks like they just did the shots over Jack's shoulder, the shots over her shoulder, and no two shot to show a distance shot or anything, and it just looks awkward. But that's just because you're used to how things are filmed in television. And I don't know, maybe they were running out of time, maybe they used up all their budget over on the racetrack. The other thing I wanted to mention really quick about the racetrack episode, I love episodes where you can kind of recreate it for yourself. You can kind of experience it. You go, oh, Jack's at the racetrack, because like we have a racetrack that's here we can go to, and we only go once every, oh gosh, we've probably gone 3 times in the last 15 years, so we hardly ever go. But when we do, we always enjoy it. I think I'm gonna this year try and remember to ask to go like on Father's Day or on my birthday or something, because it's so much fun to go with I bring my kids and my wife, and they're old. My kids are in their 20s now, so we can all bet on the races and see who won, who lost, and all of that. And we've done the same thing as Jack, where somebody talks you into betting on a different horse, and then you end up betting on a horse that loses, and somebody else bets on the horse you were going to bet on, and they win, and you're frustrated. So I totally get all that. I just love this whole thing. And I love the part. I always liked it in the radio show. It almost works better in radio than it does here. I don't know. But the part where Jack gets punched, and the assumption is it's the guy that punched him, and then it's always Mary going, oh, that was me. I punched Jack because I was so mad at him.
I agree that does work a little better in the radio show. It was a bit hard to tell what was going on until they sort of explained it in this one. But I love the bit about Jack being, talking about how he's going to vote for this horse, and then just like incredulous that the sponsor wouldn't go for his horse, and then the twist at the end that he switched horses. I thought that was so funny, and the acting on both the guy who plays the boss and Jack and Mary, like it all worked out really well. So that was very funny. I love that.
Yeah. And again, for me, the guy that played the boss, it would have been cool if they would have shoved Mel in there, or Frank, or somebody we knew, would have been fun. But they're going to use different actors, and that's fine. So, but overall, really enjoyable episode. Gorgeous episode too, filmed really nicely, and it survives in really good shape, and it's in the syndication package, so the quality is really high. So very enjoyable.
I did love seeing Mary and Jack together. There's a certain fondness, especially in this time period. Maybe it's because Mary, and maybe this is what the weird thing with the editing was, Mary at this point really wants control over her presence on television. She doesn't want anything left to chance. Maybe she had some crazy bad experience in live radio at some point, and it's just like, forget it. But I feel like she probably was like, if I'm going to be on the show, I want it to be where I'm ready. I can do multiple takes. It's just me. There's not all these other people around. I don't have to interact. And so maybe that has something to do with the with the
awkwardness of the look of it. That could be very cool.
But when she's with Jack, maybe it's just that Jack is so happy that she's on the radio show, but he seems to just be so happy, and I love to see that on his face. And I loved seeing Dennis. The thing that I thought was odd though about Dennis is he's still playing the same character he did in like 1939, where he's just supposed to be this dumb kid, and now it's like, well, is he still supposed to be like a young adult? Like you can't even tell, because he's obviously much older than that, but he's still playing it. People are still treating him like he's a young adult. And
luckily he always had a little bit of a youthful look to him. He never looked, he wasn't like old and gray and wrinkly and everything. So he always kept his hair, and he wasn't losing his hair and all that stuff, or he wore a toupee, who knows, but he always looked good, and things. But like you said, how old was he on this one? You figured
Well,
out. I think
I did the math.
40
I'm pretty sure
something.
he was 42 or
Yeah.
43,
Yeah.
right? And so, you can tell he's not 25, but he
Yeah.
doesn't look old, and he's still doing that voice,
Yeah.
right? And so I was wondering, in the show itself, in universe, is he supposed to be just a stunted 42-year-old, or is he supposed to be a kid? And they answer that question because in the end, he's doing the math of how he did his calculations to pick his bet, and he said minus my age, which is like 26 or something. So he is supposed to be a young adult
Oh,
in the
yeah, I
radio show
forgot that. Yeah,
or in
yeah,
the
because
television
he
show.
does this whole math thing, and
Yeah,
he says his age is 26.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I could believe that. Wow, that's cool though. That is a cool thing that you noticed because I was always wondering that myself.
Yeah.
I assumed they're just never going to define his age. I'm surprised they actually said his age because
Mhm.
it just seemed like one of those things they never say. They just call him a dumb kid,
Yeah.
but never define anything.
Yeah. I
Just
mean, you can
26.
scrub.
He definitely does not look 26.
You
He
can
can
scrub
maybe
back at
scrape
the
by with
episode.
36, but
I didn't write the age down, so maybe it wasn't that. Well, you can scrub back and check for sure, but he's definitely supposed to be a young kid, younger than he really is. So I thought that was interesting. And the other thing I thought was interesting is at the end of the show, because this is a show where it's all sitcom. There's
yes,
no stage stuff.
nope.
But at the end of the show, he looks at the camera and says, "Good night, folks." I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It was breaking the fourth wall there and saying
Yeah.
goodnight to everybody. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was different for the. But I do like the sitcom-y episode, so this
Yeah.
works for me. It's just always funny how you get this, and then you'll get a live one that's all in studio with a studio
Yeah,
audience that feels like, oh, this could have been 1952, and then you get this one that feels like, oh, it could have been 1965 for all
Yeah.
the way it's filmed and everything. So, but fun. And Mary, we can't have her much long. I mean, I guess she's on. I think her last episodes are like in the 1960s at the very beginning, like 19 or it might be the right at the end of 59 that she stops being on the show. So we got another, maybe a year or so. We're right in about 1958 with this episode. So yeah, we got a little bit of time left to Mary, but not much. And I definitely enjoy the shows with Mary more. I just do. So
yeah.
All right. Well, we'll let it go at that. Enjoy this episode. Maybe listen to another racetrack one if I get my act together. Otherwise, enjoy the preview for next week's episode and everything. And we'll see you next time, John.
Bye.
Bye. Wow. Now for something very special. Kathy, what do we have now?
We've got a trailer for our upcoming episode.
Wow. John, do you like trailers?
Ooh, do I?
All right. Let's see it.
Now, the Lucky Strike program starring Jack Benny, Don Wilson, Jack's special guest, Giselle McKenzie. And for his first appearance in this country, that sensational dancer from London, England, Mr. Gregory Winthrop.
The last time I'll ever pay anybody in advance. Now, I'm going to tell this story. If it kills me, I don't think anybody will interrupt again. Now, this story is about this window washer who was working on the City Hall building on the 16th floor, and he was washing the windows when suddenly his foot slipped and he fell 16 floors down to the ground and sprained his ankle. So a fella walked over to him and he asked him, he said, how could you sprain your ankle, only sprain your ankle falling 16 floors? So he said, well, fortunately it happened in Los Angeles, and the smog was so thick, you see, that it broke the floor. So people kept asking him why. Pardon me. Wait a minute. Well, you're not supposed to come up here.
Oh, I'm not supposed to. Well, I happen to be a member of the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce. And I feel that it's my duty to defend our fair city against your disparaging remarks.
Well, I didn't.
You probably thought that joke was very funny that you just told about the smog, but I didn't.
Well, I mean, I only did it as a joke. I mean, I certainly didn't mean anything by
I don't
it.
care what you meant. I'm getting sick and tired of people making jokes about the conditions of smog in the Los Angeles area. Well, they say it's a menace. I happen to be born right here in the city of Los Angeles, and I have lived here all my life. And I'm very happy to say it's a very wonderful city.
Well, I'm glad you
Of course,
I
we
didn't
do have a very mild condition. But cheap comedians like you would have the people believe that there hangs over this city a shroud-like pall of fumes that taint the atmosphere and destruct visibility. This is a gross untruth which I deny. Shut those windows out there and turn on the air conditioning! Turn it on! Mr. Benny,
What do you want now?
I'm a little ashamed for having interrupted you in the middle of your show and falling out about that smog gag.
Well, that's all right.
Well,
That's all right. Thanks.
It was a very cute joke, and I apologize.
Well, that's all right. We have a number now.
You can use that joke anytime you want to.
Well, okay, fine. Just leave it. We have a number to do. Give us.
Tonight is the last night the Hollywood Knights will ever be in Beverly Hills.